So healthy relationship habit number one, be grateful for the people in your life. I've heard it said, it's not joy that makes us grateful, it's gratitude that makes us joyful. In other words, you plus gratitude equals joy. You get that? You plus gratitude equals joy. In fact, modern day research tells us that people who are joyful, people who live a life of gratitude and they're thankful, they have overall greater life satisfaction. They have a more positive affect. In other words, their emotions are happier. They have greater optimism about the future, and they actually have better social relationships. Their relationships are stronger and healthier. See, gratitude has a direct correlation to life satisfaction. And what takes place there is what's called a feedback loop. A feedback loop is this process where the output or consequences of an action are used as a new input to modify or guide future actions. Let me explain it. The more grateful you are, the more gratitude you have, the greater your life satisfaction. And the greater your life satisfaction, the more grateful you are. It's like one of those snowballs rolling downhill, just gaining speed and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They grow off of each other. So it's imperative that we cultivate the habit of being grateful, having an attitude of gratitude. But the truth is, so often we walk around grumpy and griping and critical and complaining, don't we? I mean, be honest with yourself. Do you have an attitude of gratitude? I want to challenge you. Instead of waking up in the morning and saying, "Good God, it's morning," I want you to wake up and say, "Good morning, God. I am thankful," and spend just a few moments thanking God and being grateful. Paul writes, "I thank my God every time I remember you." In other words, focus on the positive. I mean, the truth is, we don't always do that, do we? Focus on the positive. Be honest with yourself. Are you a thankful person? Are you grateful, or do you focus on the faults? You know, you see that person walking across the room and all of a sudden the hair on the back of your neck stands up. Or you look at a relationship that you have and in reality you're thinking, what's in it for me? How am I going to benefit from this relationship? Or I've said this before, if you find yourself keeping score in a relationship, you know, I did this, and I did this for them, and they only did this for me. My friends, that is the first sign, and it is a significant sign that that relationship is in serious trouble. The truth is, we are naturally dissatisfied. We are naturally discontented, and we want to be critical and point out the faults. But take nothing for granted. I've said this before, the people that you love the most are the ones that we hurt the easiest because we take them for granted. Be thankful for the people in your life. Paul writes, "In all of my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy." I mean, look at that. In all of my prayers, always, right? He's continuously praying with joy and thanksgiving. Now, don't forget, he is writing to the church in Philippi. And remember, in Philippi, it wasn't all roses and sunshine. Paul was beaten. He was humiliated. He was falsely imprisoned. And then ultimately, he was forced to leave town. You see, Paul's time in Philippi was not all sunshines and lollipops in My Little Pony. And yet, Paul did not focus on the bad, but he was focused on the good. Let me ask you, do you hold on tight to painful memories? I mean, do you just let them harbor in your mind? You just keep running them over and over and over again? Memories are a choice. In other words, this is what I mean. You can choose what to focus on. And your attention, what you focus on, is the gateway to your memory. I heard a story of two ladies once. They were sitting on a park bench. And the one lady said to the other, "Hey, do you remember when your husband did this and did this?" And she goes, No, stop. I distinctly remember forgetting that. You can choose where to put your energy and your focus and your time. So here's the starting point for you. I want you to say, just make a list and say, today I am thankful for. And remember the best and forget the rest. Who do you need to be more grateful for in your life? Who have you taken for granted or failed to appreciate? I want you to pray for that person, to be thankful for them, and to not just be thankful for them, but vocalize it. Go up and tell them that you are thankful for them. Secondly, we learn from Paul, pray with joy for the people in your life. In all of my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy. Now, I want you to think of that most irritating person. Now, don't look at them. Just think of that most irritating person in your life. Do you complain about them or do you pray for them? And in which one is effective? Complaining and criticizing or praying for them? Jesus himself said this in Matthew chapter 5, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. My friends, if you have a struggling relationship, whether it's with a spouse, a child, a coworker, just a friend, if you have a struggling relationship, the first and foremost thing you can do is pray for them. And remember, one person can change a relationship. I think of it like a fine Swiss watch with all of those cogs and wheels. If one cog breaks, the entire system breaks down and the watch no longer keeps accurate time. One small change can impact a system. One small change that you implement can impact the relationship systems that you are in to the positive. Just thanking them, being grateful for them, verbalizing them, telling them how much they mean to you can change a relationship. And what did Paul pray? When Paul prayed for the people of Philippi, he said this, and this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight. Number one, he prayed that they could grow in love. He also prayed so that you may be able to discern what is best. In other words, that they could be people of integrity, that they can make wise choices, that they may be pure and blameless, that they can be people of integrity, that they can be filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God. And Paul tells us what that fruit of righteousness is. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. In other words, that they could become more and more like Jesus. So start praying with joy for the people in your life. Make a prayer list, journal it, write it down, and pray for them. Thirdly, expect the best. You know, we often look for the worst. I mean, they've got a track record, right? They failed us once, we think they're going to fail us again. But expect the best in your relationships. Paul writes, in all of my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. Being confident of this, without a shadow of a doubt. I know this is going to happen, Paul writes. Being confident of this, that he, Jesus, who began a good work in you, will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. I mean, look at this. It is the power of encouragement, isn't it? Do you tear down or do you encourage people? You know, the power of words, the power of encouragement. Paul always had this vision of the future. What could be? See, what God started, he will finish. And so Paul encourages us to be patient with people, to strive for progress, not perfection, and to celebrate how far they've come rather than judging how far they have to go. Let me ask you, do you demand perfection in life? Do you demand perfection from others? The key to having patience with others, the key to having a healthy relationship is love. And love is not just this ooey gooey emotional feeling. Love is a verb. It's a decision. It's a commitment. Paul goes on to write, it is right for me to feel this way about all of you, since I have you in my heart. I've often discovered that if you're not in my heart, you're on my nerves. And have you ever noticed how quickly we can go from 0 to 60, going into a bad mood, being critical of somebody? Either you're praying for somebody or you're perturbed with them. See, as followers of Jesus, we're called to love God and to love people. Fourthly, we learn from Paul to love like Jesus. You know, so often we think that the universe kind of revolves around us, don't we? Paul writes this, God can testify how I long for all of you with the affection of Christ Jesus. You can just kind of feel it, right? He longs for them.